Jean-François, let me start with where you want to start today. What would you like to begin with?
Well, this resignation this afternoon is something important. It's the number two of the most important city in Quebec, and so the only question is, of course, nothing is ever inevitable. If the mayor had decided to back her, if she had the strength to stay, she could have stayed until the end of the mandate, and 2 months hence, we would have talked about something else. But I think it was the right thing to do. It should have been done a week ago. It says something about the tenacity of journalism in Quebec, because none of this would have happened without a steadfast inquiry by Journal de Montréal. And I think in their first wave, they tried to explain this away. And there was nothing to be explained in the fact that people chose to use the public funds instead of personal funds to pay for things that they shouldn't have put on the public tab. And what it says also is that what about Isabelle Beaulieu now? Mm-hmm. What about her? I mean, I don't see how she can stay now that someone who was doing the same thing as she did now stepped down.
So, yeah, we should point out that Isabelle Beaulieu is the current head of the OCPM, which is what Dominique Olivier was head of when these expenses were made. What do you think happens next year? So Dominique Olivier is sticking around. She's going to answer questions on Friday. She will not be presenting the budget. That's going to be done by Benoit Doré. Do you think charges could be laid here, Jean-François? And she has said that she's willing to perhaps pay back some of the expenses out of her own pocket.
Well, she said she was willing to pay back the oyster dinner in Paris. She should have sent the check before giving the first interview, you know? She should have said, I already paid this back, okay? Now we have no further news about this check. But as they had said, the rules were so lax that she could do that. It's like Senator Mike Duffy, who did things that are unconscionable but legal if you look at the former Senate standards.
Right, and the orange juice that we always
Bevota,
come back to
the
16.
Although in the case, Jean-François, of Mike Duffy, I mean, he fought that for years, and at least it seems like that forever. I can't imagine Dominique Olivier doing that here.
But I don't see the city lawyers going after her.
Right. Well, we shall see. It's going to be interesting by the end of the week, because I think she said in her statement today as well, she'll be meeting with the Finance Committee, as will Isabelle Beaulieu, and we'll see what comes of that. So we'll find out more on Friday. Jean-François, are you taking a piano lesson as we speak?
Not me, but my daughter is.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. It's lovely to have some music in the background.
I thought maybe you were at a piano bar or something. You know.
I wish.
Good for you. So let me move on and get to this other story today. Former Taschereau MP Catherine Dorion, for people who don't know her, I guess it's fair to call her a rebel, at least when she was an MNA.
Rock star.
Publishing a book and throwing a lot of people, from what I'm hearing, under the bus. What'd you make of this?
Well, particularly Gabrielle Nadeau-Dubois, and whether you agree or disagree with her characterization of Nadeau-Dubois' housemanship, if that's a word, at Québec Solidaire, he's in a very difficult position because in 2 weeks there's going to be the Congress of Québec Solidaire. Of course, they'll be electing a new female spokesperson out of 3 candidates, but also Nadeau-Dubois' term is ending, and he's presenting himself to his own post. There is no person against him except in the peculiar rules of Québec Solidaire. On the ballot box, you'll have Gabrielle Nadeau-Dubois and a chair. It's la chaise, okay? So if you don't like any of the candidates, or in this case, him, you can vote for la chaise. Now, usually la chaise only gets 5% of the vote. It's like a confidence vote. But already before Dorion's book, his tenure was very much criticized, the way he handled the last election. People had been willing to have a less radical party and program if you had gains, but he had no gains. He had losses in the last election. And so he already signaled that he believed that this would be a tough vote, meaning maybe he didn't give a number, but we surmised 15% maybe would have voted for Lachaise. But with Dorion's characterization of this guy and his mafia, she uses the word mafia to say how people around him are control freaks, whether it's true or not, it will galvanize the opposition to Nadeau-Dubois. And if Lachaise gets more than, let's say, 30%, he may resign.
I want to ask, maybe this is a bit premature to ask, but in hearing this about Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois and the fact that they've not done Quebec Solidaire much of anything, they're certainly not getting a lot of publicity these days either. Are they, do you think, Jean-François, a spent force?
Mm-hmm.
They're not a spent force because there's a market for their brand of radical social democracy, because I say they're no longer Marxists. Okay, they used to be Marxists, but now they have shifted their position to be a NDP in Quebec. And their brand is certainly getting 15, 16% of the vote. That's what they had in the two last elections. They may grow to 20%, but I think that's about it. People will not go further. And they've hit pretty much their ceiling. And everything else is going to be noise, because they'll say, well, if Gabriel hadn't done this, we would have more, and we should try to be. And of course, when an ideological party meets defeat, one of the possibilities is to become more radicalized, which is counterproductive. So this may happen.
Okay. I don't know. It just seems to me, for a party that's not able to generate much of anything these days in terms of attention, you kind of wonder if the public, and I realize every time I say something like this, we have to consider the election provincially still a few years away. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of time for things to happen, to change, et cetera, including a new person to maybe head up.
To be fair, they've been very vocal on housing. Very vocal. That's their issue in the last 2 years. They've been very vocal on housing, and they're heard in French Quebec.
Okay.
When we spoke last week, we discussed the tuition hikes, and after we spoke, the CAQ kind of finally and for sure rejected the university's proposal rather unceremoniously. I mean, they really were like, thanks, but no thanks, and yeah, we're going to double tuition. It happened very quickly.
Wait, to Natasha's question, is that a done? I mean, I wasn't here. Is it a done deal? I know you're saying that the government said we're not going to go ahead and pursue whatever the university's offered as an alternative. Is it over?
Well, I think it's the fat lady hasn't sung yet, okay? But she gave the first note, and so Legault hasn't come out clearly and saying it was a non-starter. But the indications we had from Pascal Derry was that if you want to give more French classes, you're welcome to it, but we're going to stick with the tuition hike, but we'll look at Bishop's particular situation. Mm-hmm. I was hopeful that a pretty general consensus of talking heads, such as myself and many others, saying that you should seize this opportunity may bring some debate within cabinet to try and shift a bit. So we haven't heard since then. Maybe it's a bad sign. Maybe it's a good sign. I don't know.
Jean-François Lisée and our bonus piano lesson for you this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.